Hello everybody, welcome back. If you're new here, hi. My name is Tama, and I like to use this space to build a community, to start conversations, to motivate and inspire anyone who finds themselves watching my content. And so with that, today's video is just a discussion. I thought, I've got some time on my hands. I'd love to film a video. What can we talk about? What can we chat about? Just opinions and perspectives. Obviously, two truths, multiple truths can exist at one time, and this is only my individual perspective. But I kind of wanted to just get on here and chat a little bit about what they don't tell you when you enter the spiritual community. What warning labels should the spiritual community come with that you don't really expect or know when you're first walking in? So I don't have any notes or anything. I'm just going to be freeballing, sort of spitting some things out that I have noticed within my own experience. And yeah, kind of let you guys decide for yourselves, relate if you've also been through something similar. If you're entering the spiritual realm now, I'm so glad this video has found you at the start of that process. This is going to save you a lot of confusion and strain and heartache, at least I hope. And so one of the first things is that love, like you tap into a love energy, right? And it is so freaking easy to be gaslit into connections and friendships and relationships because people put on this spiritual suit. They wear this little mask and this suit, and they've read all the books and they, have comprehended the words within them, but they don't actually practice the teaching and what the words are saying. So you might have heard the term spiritual F-boy. Those are real. Those come in the form of women too. So I think it's super important when you go into this spiritual community that you are not only observing what information people are giving you, because you are hungry. When you first enter this space, you are hungry for all the information. Any knowledge feels like good knowledge. And you're like, for me anyway, I devoured that. I was like, yes, if you want to sit down and talk astrology for 3 hours, let's do it. If you want to talk about why yoga is good for you at 6 a.m. every single morning, let's do that. If you want to talk about all of the books you've read, let's do that. But just pay attention in these conversations and connections and relationships and experiences to the words that are being spoken and to the behavior that you're witnessing. So a lot of people will preach it all, but they don't practice it. And so you think you're falling in love with this person when in reality, you're kind of falling in love with the spiritual knowledge that they're pouring out. So everything will feel like, oh, I'm just going to go with the flow. Like, I'm just going to trust in the process. That's a big thing in the spiritual community. Just trust in the process. And I'm a big believer in trusting in the process, but keep your wits about you, yeah? Like, be careful that you're not actually just being pliable and easily manipulated, because it happens so easily. It doesn't just happen in the way of friendships and relationships, but it happens in the mentorship space. So you'll get spiritual gurus or psychics or yogis or massage therapists be like, oh, let me train you, like come and I'll show you all of my stuff, and we'll just do an exchange, an energy exchange. And just be careful and prioritize two things: connecting with your intuition and knowing what your intuition is telling you and how to tap into it. I'll link a video in my bio that I have posted on how to connect with your intuition. And then the second thing being research. So you want to prioritize like what your gut is telling you, and then also what knowledge you have to be backed. So if someone's like, oh, we'll just do like an exchange of energy, and it's some guy or some lady wanting to teach you massage, just be careful what that energy means in their mind. If it doesn't feel right to you, don't do it. I got confused at the start of my journey in whether it was fear saying don't do that or it was my intuition saying don't do that. So definitely learn the difference between those two so that you can save yourself from getting into some situations that you probably don't want to be in. So in the spiritual sense, lap up all of the information you can. Make sure you're always cross-checking that, finding some different sources, reading about it, writing, journaling, talking. Make sure that you're deciding for yourself what feels right and what doesn't align, because there's a lot of spiritual knowledge out there. There is so many concepts and philosophies and teachings, and not all of it will relate to you. Just use your discretion there. What else can we talk about in the spiritual community? Going on to a more body level serious note now, something that I wasn't prepared for when I entered the spiritual community was what it felt like to actually listen to my body and what happened as you travel up the chakras in energy, right? As you bring that energy up into higher chakras, you're opening channels that you've never opened before, and it can have effects on your body. If you Google like Kundalini awakening and things like that, these are the type of things I'm talking about. So I would constantly get like ringing in my ears. I still do now, but I understand what that's telling me. My balance would be off. There would be days where I was super fatigued and tired. I would have, moments where I felt like I was a little bit high, like I didn't quite feel grounded. And that's definitely something I had to learn how to do. And I did that through talking with a beautiful Aboriginal man at a festival that I went to. And he taught me the technique of grounding, which I really would have loved to have learned before I stepped into the spiritual space, so that everything didn't feel so airy and overwhelming. Like I'm someone who can go in these upper three chakras as much as I want. I love it up here. That's where I like to exist, but I've learned how important it is to ground yourself here, because at the end of the day, we are still having a human experience, right? So it is extremely important that you learn how to ground yourself and that you don't get scared or overwhelmed by these feelings. Like I've had experiences where I've passed out. I've had experiences where, my appetite changes. My vision feels like it's blurry, or I get these headaches and things like that. So I'm not really talking it up, am I? It doesn't really sound like a beautiful thing, but it is. It's your body's way of adjusting. I would love to talk about some of the experiences that I've had in later videos. So if you'd like to hear about what I believe to have been a near-death experience and how that changed my perspective on things, let me know in the comments and I'll sit down and attempt to explain that. You'll need an open mind if you're planning on watching that video and listening to that content. Not everyone believes in it. And then there's also hallucinogenics. That is something that comes up in the spiritual realm. When you're walking that space, not only hallucinogenics, but plant medicines. And so there are a lot of people who are going to offer you these things who really don't understand what these medicines are. If someone ever uses the word drug, don't trust, because they're not drugs, they're medicine and they're tools, right? So I know that I keep saying trust your intuition, but your gut will tell you. If someone's like, oh, come to this little ceremony that I've got going on, it's just a select group of people and I'm going to be holding some space. If your gut's like, and hesitates even a little bit, please don't do it. Please don't do it. There are plenty of places that will offer you space to be held safely for you to experience that. So if that's something that calls to you and you find that that's something that's coming into your field, you know, the opportunity to experience these different things, and do some research and find something that is safe and aligned and trustworthy. You're going to have some pretty crazy experiences, I'm not going to lie to you, but the right space and the right help is extremely important when it comes to that type of thing. Medicine has been a big part of my journey, less so recently, but when I first stepped into the spiritual space, I did use quite a few different medicines and have gained a relationship with each of them. And so I do encourage that journey. If you are stepping into the spiritual space and it is something that calls to you, I just cannot stress enough that there are places that offer it safely where you can experience that. There are people who have had ample amount of experience with these tools and medicines that are able to tell you what you need to know, answer any questions before you go into that space, and, you know, maybe hold that space with you. Yeah, I think that that's super important. You can't unsee it. That's probably the next thing, is that once you start opening these doors in this space and you start learning about the teachings and the philosophies and you start finding things that align with you, it's not just like you're all of a sudden enlightened and everything's easier and you can see the silver lining and everything. Like, absolutely, you can see the silver lining and everything, but you can also see the dysfunction and the disharmony in everything, and you cannot unsee it. Once you have begun to open those doors wide open and identify the root cause of so many problems, you will not be able to stop yourself from seeing that in the world around you. So at first I got into this energy of like, I want to help. I know the fix, I know the solution, I know the medicine, I want to help everyone. I want to rebuild the systems, I want to help individuals, I want to do all of those things. And I do believe that my journey here is to help individuals and to help, you know, to hold space for individuals to walk through this path. But you can't help everyone and everything, you know. I remember coming back to my hometown and meeting my family after I had really delved into the spiritual realm for the first time, and I just wanted to grab them all and shake them and wake them up. It's not something you can do, and it's dangerous to force it on someone. If someone is not mentally prepared to face the realities of what this knowledge will give them, then it can be a really slippery slope, you know. So be that space, be that foot in the door, allow people to come to you and ask questions, but resist the urge to try and wake up the people around you. And instead, I feel like the best way to alchemize and transmute that energy that I've found is to just embody the practice. Embody what you believe, live via the code that you write for yourself, that you believe to be one that works for you, and do that like unwaveringly. Like, you trust in that, you walk that path, and nothing shakes you, because the people around you that you want to wake up will see that, and then they'll start to get curious, and then they will ask you questions, and that's when you can sort of welcome them into that space. But if they are not ready and they are not asking and they are not interested, do not force it. I know my little way kind of around that sometimes is books. Like, I read so many self-help books, and some of them aren't just fully spiritual, they have a practical sort of side to them. And so I found myself being like, I think that this person would benefit from this information in this way, so I would gift them that book for Christmas or their birthday. And sure, I don't know that any of the people that I've bought the books have read them, I know that some have started them, but they haven't finished them, but they've got that information and that knowledge there for when that curiosity strikes. So yeah, you can't unsee it, and you can't wake up the people around you as much as you want to. I know it's like, I still want to do it now. I still have this thing in my mind of like, how can you not see it? And some people just can't, and some people aren't meant to. And if you can, take that as a sign to keep walking down this path, and to keep embodying this, and to keep, you know, paving a new road for people to follow or be inspired by. What else? There's so much that I could talk about, but I'm trying to just touch on the things that I would really have loved to have known. I guess that it doesn't look the same as well. You know, you're gonna find these people who inspire you, who you relate to. Like for me, there's authors and influencers that I started following at the beginning of this journey who I still follow now and I still hold so dearly. But I thought, oh my God, I relate with them so much. I love what they're teaching. I love what they're doing. I want to be like them. You know, no two spiritual journeys are like adjacent to each other. Like, they're not, your level of enlightenment and fulfillment and creation doesn't always look like what somebody else's does. Sure, there can be similarities, you can take inspiration from people, but don't judge your growth and your journey and your evolution based on where somebody else is, or where you were. You know, it's good to reflect on where you were and how far you've come, but don't ever let it be like, oh, I haven't done enough. You know, like everything unfolds as it should. So be careful of comparing yourself to others in this space, and to being like, oh, well, if I'm to be spiritual, if I'm to walk this spiritual path, then I need to look like X, Y, and Z. I need to wear pure cotton clothing, and I need to not have my technology before 9 or after 10 p.m. And I need to eat fully vegan, or, you know, drink water only from a spring, not go to the grocery store. Like, there will be so many things that will make you feel like you've been living your life wrong and that you're doing something wrong. But please don't let those things overwhelm you. This is something I'm still learning now. Every time I buy, I don't know, a jar of something, or beans in a can, or some frozen vegetables, I get so down on myself because I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be living organically. I should be creating this from scratch, you know? And we do live in a modern world. We would love to go back to organic, and you can absolutely do that. But right now, in a rental space, when I'm moving and I'm working and I'm trying to start a business, some nights it's like, well, if I don't get, you know, the alternative to my frozen veggies that I bought from the grocery store is getting takeout, which is even worse. So it's making healthier choices, happier choices, more aligned choices without that feeling restrictive. Because the second you start to feel restricted by this space, you will come to resent it. Yeah, so definitely work at your own pace, trust your own pace, and know that once you start to gather knowledge externally through books and people and conversations and movies and podcasts, you'll notice that your innate knowing, your inner knowing starts to come up. And when people ask you why, it might be a bit triggering because you don't fully have an answer as to why you think or feel that way or believe that way. It's just something that feels right to you. Do not let that be discouraged. I know it's hard for some people to back off when they ask why, and you say, I know. You know, some people don't get that. Some people don't understand that, and that's okay. And it's going to be frustrating, I know, but do not let that change your mind. If it makes you question it, then sit and go, okay, is this something aligned with me? Yes, it is. Does it feel right within my soul, or am I doing it because I think I should be doing it? No, it feels aligned to my soul. Cool, great. It doesn't need to make sense to anybody else. It doesn't need to have a worded explanation. Some things aren't to be put into words, which I guess would lead me into the last thing, is that not everything has to be shared. You're gonna want to share the new version of yourself with so many people, and your findings and your experiences and some new passions and some goals and some things you want to do. But just be selective of who you choose to share that with, because there will be people who shut it down. There are totally people in the spiritual space who will not pick you up, who will not support you, who will not motivate you, because they see you as a threat, because they don't understand you, because they don't believe that you have the knowledge or certification or training to be doing what you're doing. So trust in your own path, and make sure you have people around you who you can trust and who will support you. Let me know if you want a part 2 of this, because I think I'm going to wrap this up here, but I could talk about way more topics. I'm going to start jotting some down, and if y'all want a part 2 to this, then I'm more than happy to make one, because people need to know what to expect stepping into this space before they step into this space, and I would love to offer that advice. So if you have any questions, if you have any stories to tell, please drop them down in the comments below. I'll link my intuition video for those of you who had a curiosity sparked about that at the start. Check out my channel if you're new here. Thank you so much. If you're still here at the end of this video after 20 minutes, you're a legend. I appreciate you so freaking much. It does so much. Just watching my videos all the way through. You don't even have to subscribe, like, comment. If you do those things, thank you so much. But just watching my video all the way through is more than I could ever ask for. This is a platform that I do want to be able to host long term, and, you know, one day be able to financially rely on having a platform and a voice. And so each moment that I spend here filming myself and talking to a camera and sharing my story with you guys and my opinion and beliefs is a moment that I get closer to that. So I hope you enjoyed all of this content. I hope you're having the most amazing time, and I will see you next time.